Hello, welcome to Half Hour to Health. We're going to be talking about achieving maximum health while defeating diseases. This is the second portion of this particular segment. And again, today I have with me Jade Butler. Jade, again, has valuable information to give us. So just stay tuned. And we're going to be talking about the omega-3s, essential fatty acids, and why we need these fats in our diet. There's going to be a hot show today, so stay tuned. Jade, welcome back to the show. Exciting.
Boy, it was my pleasure. We had such a phenomenal first half hour. I'm just glad to be back.
Well, I want to let's kind of recap some of the things that we talked about on the first show. Okay, let's talk about omega-3 and deficiencies in westernized degenerative diseases in America today. Let's talk, why is this so prevalent?
Yeah, what we're finding, Dr. Dietrich, and what we discussed in the first half hour, and for the virtue of the audience tuning in today, is that we're finding that the most common nutritional deficiency today is a lack of a very, very important and essential nutrient that is identified as omega-3 fatty acid. And omega-3 fats are found most predominantly in a nutritional supplement that's becoming extremely popular in America today, one of the hottest and top-selling products in the health food stores, in fact, which we call flax oil. Flax oil is tremendously beneficial to us. And the reason for this is because we're suffering from such a deficiency of omega-3s in our diet. This is tied going back 100 years ago when food manufacturers figured out that these omega-3 fatty acids, when left in foods, cause them to go rancid. So, of course, they want to preserve these foods for 1 to 2 years on the grocery store shelf and in transportation and distribution. So they found they had to get rid of these omega-3 fatty acids in foods, and that's exactly what they did. They devoided our foods of omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids are critical to each and every cell in our human body. And when we break our health down, we have to really break it down to this single cell. Our body's composed of over 100 billion cells. But to focus on health, we break it down to a single cell. And if we don't have enough omega-3 in that cell, it's impossible to achieve optimal health and optimal longevity. That's how critical these omega-3 fatty acids are to health. In addition to that, along the industrialized revolution, we begin to process seed oils. And seed oils such as safflower and sunflower and peanut oil and corn oil are dominant in a competing fatty acid or lipid, which we call omega-6. Omega-6 and omega-3 in the diet are important, but they're important in a balance in the body. So see, we've got two problems here. We reduced or eliminated the amount of omega-3 in the diet, and this is flax oil, a representative of omega-3 fatty acids in the diet, and we increased the amount of omega-6 in our diet to where it would have filled one of these beakers. This one's half full, but you can see the difference here. These should be in a ratio of 50-50. We should be consuming 50% of our essential fatty acids as omega-3 and 50% as omega-6. This leads to perfect health in the body. The change that we've seen with the processing of seed oils, dominant in omega-6 fatty acids, is the biggest nutritional shift in human history.
Amazing. And
it's occurred in only the last 100 years. In fact, in the words of Dr. Artemis Simopoulos, one of our most prominent health and nutrition researchers in this country today, she's the president for the Center of Nutrition, Genetics, and Health. She's telling us that the shift that has occurred would take over 1 million years to correct in the body. In other words, for the body to adapt to this change in only the last 100 years, it would take 1 million years. So we have to go about changing back this ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids to include more omega-3 in the diet and to begin to eliminate some of the omega-6 in the way of vegetable oils. We've all been told vegetable oils are healthy for us, haven't we?
That's right.
Haven't doctors said, well, these vegetable oils are heart healthy?
Right.
No, they're not heart healthy, out of balance with the omega-3 fatty acids. We have to get back to balance with these.
Now let's talk a little bit about, we're talking about westernized degenerative diseases in this country. And of course, cancers and the strokes and heart diseases. Now we're finding out they're having the same particular problems in these industrial countries, as an example, like Japan. What is all about that? I mean, can you tell us about that a little bit?
Well, look what's happening. We can trace the origins, literally, back 100 years to the industrialized revolution and the processing of foods, robbing our foods of their nutrients. In fact, I use a little story to demonstrate food fortification, what we call food fortification. And imagine you're walking down a dark alley here in San Francisco, and you're mugged, okay? And you're taken of your shirt, your pants, your shoes, your underwear. You're standing there naked, okay? This mugger is taking everything on your person. And as he's beginning to leave, he has a moment of remorse, and he says, well, golly, here are your shoes and your belt. Do you feel fortified? That's what we're doing with our foods. We're robbing them in food manufacturing and processing of all their nutrients. Then we're putting a few back, and we're putting that food's been fortified on the box. That's exactly what's happening. And what has happened, we can trace this back 100 years in America. It correlates perfectly to our leading diseases and illnesses of our time. The processing of seed oils dominant in omega-6, the elimination of omega-3 fatty acids in the diet. With the homogenization of our globe, with other countries and industrialized nations adopting our unhealthful eating style, what we're finding now in countries like Japan, in the last 50 years, Japan has seen an astronomical rise in the instance of cancer, in the instance of heart disease, stroke, allergies, asthma, diabetes. The Japanese government said, we need to figure out what's going on. I mean, we're getting these westernized diseases. These aren't easternized diseases. They came from the West. It's not an infectious disease. So how are we getting these diseases that are so prominent in the United States and the Western world? Well, they set out to find out why. And not only did they conduct a study on their own people to figure this out, they reviewed over 500 scientific studies to come to some conclusions. You know what the conclusion they found? The leading cause of diabetes, cancer, heart disease, stroke, allergies, inflammation, behavioral problems is a deficiency of omega-3 fatty acids. They found that now that they've adopted our way of eating in the last 50 years, the most prominent factor, in fact, they published this study, it encompassed a full 50 pages. If I could just read the review, I can't read the 50 pages, and you wouldn't want me to.
Exactly.
But if I could just read the review of these researchers, I think this is very impactful. In this review, we summarize the evidence which indicates that increased dietary omega-6, again in safflower, sunflower, processed foods, and relative omega-3 deficiency are major risk factors for Western-type cancers, cardiovascular, and cerebral diseases, and also for allergic hyperreactivity. We also raise the possibility that a relative omega-3 deficiency may be affecting the behavioral patterns of a proportion of the young generations in industrialized countries.
And this is Dr.